Hello, and welcome to Easy English Stories. Here, we don't just study English. We feel it. We connect with words, sentences, and stories in a way that makes learning natural, fun, and unforgettable. Today, you'll practice your listening skills. And if you want, you can do something called shadowing with me. Now, you may ask, what is shadowing? Shadowing is when you listen to someone speak and then repeat exactly what they say, almost like a shadow follows light. It trains your brain, your ears, and your mouth to work together. This is one of the fastest ways to improve your speaking and pronunciation in English. So, how can you use shadowing in this video? First, listen carefully to the story. Feel the words, imagine the scenes, and connect with the emotions. Then, watch the story again and repeat each sentence with me. Don't worry about being perfect. Focus on rhythm, pronunciation, and feeling. Doing this every day, even for 10 minutes, will make a huge difference. You'll notice your English improving faster than you expected. And now, get ready for today's story. It's a short, touching tale about hope, love, and memories. A story called The Feather on the Window. It was a cold, quiet morning. The sky was grey. The city outside seemed to sleep. Soft light touched the edges of the buildings. The streets were almost empty. Inside a small apartment, an old woman named Mary sat by her window. She held a warm cup of tea in her hands. Her eyes followed the gentle movement of the trees outside. She didn't speak much these days, but there was a calm in her quiet moments. Suddenly, something caught her attention. A small white feather rested gently on the windowsill. It was delicate, almost glowing in the soft morning light. Mary leaned closer and smiled softly. "Good morning," she whispered. The feather didn't move. It just stayed there, light and peaceful. Mary felt a strange happiness. It was as if the feather had a message, a little sign from the world outside, reminding her that small things could bring joy. She sipped her tea and watched the feather for a few more moments. The morning air was still cold, but inside, Mary felt a warmth that had been missing for a long time. The next morning, Mary woke up early. The light outside was soft and grey. She walked to the window with her cup of tea, ready to see the feather, but it wasn't there. The windowsill was empty. For a moment, she thought maybe the wind had taken it away. She opened the window and looked outside. No feather, just the sound of the wind moving through the trees. The air felt colder than usual. Her heart sank a little. She whispered, "Where are you today?" No answer came, only silence. Mary sat down and looked at the empty spot where the feather used to be. She missed its quiet company. The morning suddenly felt long again. She remembered her son's words. Every morning brings something good. But that day didn't feel good at all. Still, she kept looking at the window, hoping that maybe, somehow the feather would return. That night, Mary couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching the empty sill. The sky was quiet, and the moonlight touched the curtains with a silver glow. Memories began to fill the room, soft and slow, like the wind. She thought of her son, his laughter, his hugs, the way he used to run to her in the mornings, with messy hair and bright eyes. "Mom," he would say, "every morning brings something good." Those words had always made her smile. Now, they felt like a whisper from another world. Mary closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She could almost feel his presence beside her. The warmth of his hand, the sound of his voice. A tear rolled down her cheek, but she didn't feel sad. She felt thankful. Thankful for the love that never disappeared. Even when life changed, she looked out at the night sky and whispered, "You were right, my love." The wind moved gently through the room, and for the first time, she didn't feel alone. The feather might have vanished, but its meaning was still there, quiet, invisible, full of love. The next morning, the sunlight was brighter than usual. Mary woke up early and walked to the window. The air felt soft, almost warm. She looked at the sill and smiled sadly. Still no feather, but this time she didn't feel empty. She opened the window to let the morning in. The breeze brushed against her face, gentle and calm. She whispered, "Good morning." And then, something moved in the corner of her eye. A white feather floated slowly through the air, spinning softly in the sunlight. It drifted toward her and landed on her hand. Mary froze, her heart full. Tears filled her eyes, but she was smiling. She held the feather close to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. The wind carried her words away, as if delivering them somewhere far and kind. For a long moment, she just stood there, feeling peace. The world outside was still the same, but something inside her had changed. She finally understood. The feather wasn't just a sign. It was a reminder that love never truly leaves. It stays with us soft, unseen, and always finding a way back home. The morning came slowly that day. Light poured through the thin white curtains, painting soft golden lines on the floor. The house was quiet, but it didn't feel empty anymore. Mary sat beside the window, her hands around a warm cup of tea. She could hear the sound of the city waking up. A car passing by, a distant laugh, the flutter of wings outside. For months she had feared these quiet mornings. They had felt endless, hollow, like time had stopped moving. But today felt different. The silence was still there, yes, but it was kind. It felt full, not empty. She turned her eyes to the windowsill. There it was, the small white feather, resting softly near the corner, barely moving in the sunlight. It glowed, as if it was breathing. Mary smiled a slow, peaceful smile. She reached out and touched it with the tip of her finger. It was light as air, softer than memory. And suddenly she remembered everything. The laughter in the kitchen, the smell of pancakes on Sunday mornings, the sound of small footsteps running down the hallway, the way her son used to leave tiny drawings on the table stick figures, holding hands, a big heart between them, and the words, "Me and Mom." She used to keep them all in a box, tucked away under her bed. Now she realized she didn't need the box anymore. The memories lived inside her. They were part of every breath she took. Mary took a deep breath and closed her eyes. The air smelled like rain, even though the sky was clear. The world outside was alive, moving, breathing just like she was. For the first time in a long time, she felt that maybe everything was exactly as it should be. Grief, she thought, doesn't end. It changes shape. It becomes softer, quieter, almost gentle, like a feather that keeps floating, even when the wind has calmed. She opened her eyes again. The feather moved slightly, lifted by a soft breeze coming through the window. It danced in the air, turning slowly, catching the light. Mary followed its motion with her eyes, and it felt like time had stopped. Not in pain, but in peace. She whispered, "You're free now." The feather floated higher, and for a moment it looked like it paused right at eye level, as if listening. Then it drifted upward, out the window, disappearing into the golden morning sky. Mary didn't cry. Her heart felt calm, open, light. She leaned back in her chair, watching the sky through the open window. The world looked different now. The same streets, the same buildings, but everything seemed softer, warmer, touched by something invisible. Love, she thought, doesn't vanish. It changes form, finds new ways to stay. Sometimes through people, sometimes through dreams, and sometimes through something as small as a feather, reminding us we're never truly alone. She looked down at her hands. They were older now, gentle lines, soft wrinkles, but they were steady. She smiled again and whispered, "Every morning brings something good." It was what her son had always said, long ago. Back then, she never really believed it. Now she did. Because even in loss, there was love. Even in silence, there was meaning. Even in goodbye, there was something that stayed. Mary took another slow breath. The sunlight touched her face. The sound of the wind carried through the room, brushing against her hair. And in that small, quiet moment, she felt completely alive. She closed her eyes and whispered one last time, "Thank you." Outside, the world kept moving. Children laughing, people walking, life unfolding. The feather was gone, but its message had stayed. Because love, when it's true, doesn't fade. It just finds another way to return. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can join us for more easy English stories. Leave a comment below and tell me which part of the story touched your heart the most. Remember, every small step you take in learning English brings you closer to your goal. Keep practicing, stay curious, and never give up on your dreams. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I can't wait to share the next story with you. See you soon, and keep enjoying every moment of learning English.